Hello. If this audio is working. Yo, 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 yo. Yo, yo, yo. Yo, yo, yo. All right, so you can fly line of sight now if you know how to fly line of sight. I don't, but I'll show you how. So after you bind the controllers, you'll be able to turn it on. And the camera will just keep the quad in center. Now, if it goes a little too far, you can turn it off. You can walk up to it. And you can also walk up to it. 1 second. Am I hearing myself? Yeah, there we go. All right, so you can walk up to it and pick it up with the right mouse button. And you gotta hold the right mouse button. And then you can scroll in to bring it closer. And then you can rotate it with the Q key. And then you can place it in its upright position with the R key. All right. So when I paint it, like you'll be able to look at it because same type of stuff we like doing in real life. Looking at these things and admiring them. All right. So now you can just throw it on the ground. It really doesn't matter. All right. That's Yoka. Obviously, this is just that's just like version 1. She'll look like a Doberman and she'll move like a Doberman in the real game. All right, so this is just to have somebody in here with you while you're here. All right, so in the next demo, I'm gonna be putting like the props out right here on the ground because that's how I do it. When I go to the park, I park. Yoko would be running around because I'm in a lot where like I don't have any traffic. I don't have to worry about that. So she's just running around, and I've got my battery, my charging cable, and all the extra lipos just laying out here. So I fly pack, 4 or 5 minutes later, land, switch out the pack, put that pack to charge while I'm flying. And so that's the experience that I'm going to be recreating in here. All right, same thing, that we do in real life. All right, so now the quad's on the ground. The controls do control it now. So the quad upright. All right, so make sure the quad is upright. And now I'm going to arm, and I can immediately go into line of sight. I don't know how to fly like this, So I just won't. But if you know how to, you can. So now if you want to go into the goggles mode, press 1. That's a little cheesy right now. I'm gonna, make that look pretty cool there. And now we're in here flying. All right, so the physics are there. Hold on, I gotta turn this down too. 1 second. All right, so that's gonna be over here. I think that will do it right there. So you can still hear me, but the desktop audio will be lower. All right, let's see if that works. All right, so the physics are there, but it needs tuning now. So like you can throw it and it carries momentum and it accelerates back to Earth like in real life. All right, but you got to fine tune, or I got to fine tune so that it feels, like snappy and real agile in the air, stops on a dime. And so that's what I'm doing in here right now. So the first thing to immediately gain more control is to lower the spool up time. So I'll go to the menu, that's control spacebar. And so now I want to look at the motor spool up time. So the faster that they spool up, the faster that your quad reacts. So I'm going to put a 0 right there. I'm going to put a 0 right there. Now I'm going to hit apply. All right, so now immediately it's quicker. See that? All right, so that's the first thing I'm going to do. All right, second thing, it's all right. Power loops are still a little not as good as real life. In real life, as you pitch back and throttle up, you find more and more traction. Like the quad gets grippier in the air. And right now, we're lacking that. So that's something that I'll be having to add or improve. Power is decent. It's a little rough at the top. So when I throttle the max, it feels like at the top is like it's hard to push through. And so that's not realistic either. It's real smooth in real life. The most challenging part of all of this is not the physics, it's getting the yaw axis to work like real life. In real life, yaw is produced through physics, torque reaction. It moves in one direction, and physics naturally gives you energy in the opposite direction. But in Unreal Engine, that's not the case. So thrust actually pushes the wind down and puts you upward, same as in real life. But torque reaction for the yaw axis, you have to inject code to get that working. And that introduces, bugs and errors and introduces that disconnect from real life. So that's really what this comes down to. It comes down to, getting the physics in there is easy. Ultimately, to get it to feel like real life, you have to have that yaw axis producing all of the physics that it produces in real life. And since I'm having to inject code that says this is the math for torque reaction, that introduces the that disconnect right there. So for now, I have to keep tweaking and tuning, but something I'm gonna have to do long term is just figure out a way for the torque reaction to be naturally produced in the engine so that I don't have to inject the code there, and therefore it just happens more naturally. All right, so that's really the biggest setback here, but I'll figure that out here pretty soon. It still feels, I think it still feels better than everything else on the market just because you can throw it and you can't do that in another simulator. Every other simulator, it'll just float to the ground. Like you'll come up here and it'll take 10 seconds to reach the ground. And this one doesn't because you're going to be traveling close to 100 miles per hour when you hit the pavement, same as in real life. So that you can throw the quads is the reason why I still prefer flying this over anything else because it's fun. I do freestyle. Throw it, and you got to catch it, or you end up bottoming out, same as in real life. All right, so next what I'm going to do, because I do want this yaw to feel a little better, I'm gonna mess with the RC smoothing. So RC smoothing is the link from your USB to the game. All right, so I'm gonna lower the yaw. Actually, this should be 20 anyways. Okay, let's go back to this. I didn't have it at default. All right, let's see what this does. See how that yaw washed out over top? That's a problem too. That happens in real life, just not as often as that happens in here. All right, let's see if it happens again. Up top, throttling down. All right, did not happen that time. Quad still feels a little heavy. And so I got gravity code in here. And what I could do is lessen the gravity so that the quad doesn't feel so heavy. But then that would take away the rate of free fall. And so that wouldn't be the answer. So what I have to do instead is leave the gravity where it is and tune the quad so it doesn't feel as heavy as it does, because it shouldn't feel this heavy at the low throttle here. All right, so what can I do? Let's go in here. It's gonna come down to the throttle and the yaw again. All right, so I'm gonna drop this to 20 just to see what that does. All right, so dropping it to 20 makes it like mushier, basically. Not mushier, because it won't feel mushier, but it smoothens the input so it feels smoother. All right. So instead of it reacting immediately, it reacts a little smoother. All right. And so adjusting all these variables eventually lands you to the feel that you have in real life. All right. And so right now, you can make all these adjustments. But in the game, you won't be able to make all these adjustments. You'll get a quad, it will fly how it flies, and the next quad will be tuned a little different, so it will fly like it flies. You'll be able to adjust the PIDs and the rates, same as you can in real life. But in real life, you don't get to adjust the motor spool up and spool down time. When you buy a motor and you run volts through it, it has a natural spool up and spool down time. How long does it take for it to actually start getting up to max RPM? And how long does it take for it to decelerate from that max RPM? So those things in real life come built into every particular motor and the amount of volts that you run through it, right? But in the game, we have to create that through the math and the physics. And so I can speed it up and slow it down. And so right now, with the version that you have in the game, you can also speed it up and slow it down. But to keep that in the real game wouldn't be realistic, so it's not going to be in the real game. This you can tune in real life. This is beta flight. This you can tune. So this stays, this gets deleted. Okay, and let me see what else here. The PID, you do get to edit all of these. So that will all stay. Aerodynamics, you don't get to edit this in real life. You don't get to edit this in real life either. So this is the drag of your propeller, right? And so when you purchase a propeller, the manufacturer already decided all those details. So when you purchase a particular propeller, and I purchase the same exact one, they both have the same exact drag because that is how they built the propeller. In the game, we have to build that in. So at the end of it all, every prop that we have in game is going to have a specific um, prop drag to it, but you're not going to be able to tune that in game because that wouldn't be realistic. All right, so I just lowered it, which means it will travel through the air a little quicker, but not the entire quadcopter because that drag force is specific to the propellers. So there's also drag on the body, and that's controlled elsewhere. And you really don't want to mess with that because I've kind of already dialed that in. All right, so now it doesn't feel as heavy at the bottom. See all that? That shouldn't be happening. So my yaw axis in real life, my Zorro, it has a bit of a twitch because the controller's old and I've been developing for thousands of hours, so it's naturally got wear on it. So yours shouldn't be doing that. Now, see the battery ran low. You see it's 8 minutes. We're not getting 8 minutes on a 6S 1300 milliamp battery. So don't expect it to get 8 minutes in the real game. This is just for now. You don't want to be stopping to change out the battery every freaking 2 minutes. All right, so now I'm gonna land, disarm, and now I'm still in the drone mode. So I gotta press 1, and now I'm wherever I was standing before I took off. So had I been standing under the gas station, I would have respawned to my takeoff spot. Right now, we don't have a physical body, but I'll put that in there eventually. And there's Yoka. She's just gonna follow you everywhere, but she can't go outside the zone here. So the way it works is like I put a box where she's allowed to walk. So I never have to worry about her running across the street here, which I wouldn't allow in real life. She knew better, of course. All right, but in real life, we're gonna have cars moving up and down here, and so the player is gonna think like, "Oh, she's so smart. She won't run out there." But really, she's programmed to like she can't. It's impossible for her to move through the invisible box that we have there. All right. So you'll see that she'll continue to follow me, and then I have it set right at the edge of this parking lot here. Come on, come on, come on. And so the invisible box must be right there, and so she won't come any further than that. All right. And so, like I said, in the real game, she won't just be following me because she doesn't do that in real life, and she didn't do that in real life. In real life, I'm walking around, and she knows if it's time to go. I'll call her. So she's just running around sniffing here, there. She'll eventually get tired, and she'll go into the shade, and she'll just lay there. At the beginning, she's gonna be, chasing the freaking drone. Eventually, that's gonna tire her out. She's gonna sniff there and do what dogs do, and so that's the natural animations that she's going to have. And then you're also going to be able to call her. The point of her being in here is that she serves as your spotter. So in real life, here's how it would happen. All right. This is how it goes in real life. Oh, I still got to change out this battery. All right. So here's how it goes. The battery's drained. Now I got to pick it up with E. Now it's in inventory. Now I press F and I got to swap out batteries. So this battery's at 54%. So it has charged them. It just wasn't showing. So if I put it back on the ground, it'll actually show a little more charge. Ah, it's glitched. So it's back to 100%. So I got to fix that. All right, so that will be fixed. All right, but it should be charging as it's sitting in inventory. We're still going to swap out the battery. So that was a 6S 1300. We got a 6S 1000. So 1000 is lighter than a 1300, so this will feel faster. And then this is a 4S. 4S is only 4S voltage, which means this is going to be the slowest one. All right, so we're going to have varying batteries, same as we do in real life. So this is how it works in real life. I get in here, I fly over here, all right, and we'll say I crash. Boom. And now it's like, freaking crap. I'm like 150 meters away, and I got to walk way over there, and I'm going to turn the beeper on, but I don't know if the quad, I don't know exactly where it's at. And sometimes you're facing a wall or you're in a tree branch and you can't really make out exactly where you're at. So you turn the beeper on but I can't hear it from this far because the beeper in real life, like you got to be within about 40 or so meters, about 40 or so meters, and then you start hearing it, and then you can track it. Oh, it's over here, and then you find it. So right now it's beeping, but I still have no idea exactly where I landed. And this is the real life frustrations. I want to be flying. I don't want to be chasing down a crash quadcopter, but this is the real life experience. And so in real life, Yoka just runs to where the drone is. So I don't need the beeper anymore. Right now it's beeping. And as I get closer, I'm gonna hear it. But in real life, I no longer use the beeper because Yoka just runs to it and she stands next to it and she saves me 45 minutes of search and rescue. All right. And so that's where her purpose is in the game. So now you hear it. Now I'm close enough that I can start tracking exactly where the quadcopter is, and I can go back in and see, same thing you do in real life. All right, what am I looking at? I see a rail there, and I also see the grocery plaza or the strip mall there. So same as I would do in real life. So it must be facing one of these rails here, and it's upside down. Oh, there it is. Now I turn the beeper off. I can pick it up and take it with me wherever. Right mouse button drags it. All right, and I can walk all the way back. But without the beeper, I would have been searching forever, right? And even with the beeper, it's like, it's somewhere over here. I still had to do a little bit of go back into the goggle view, kind of orient myself. Where is it? And so what she does is in the game is I'll give her permission, like you'll have a button key that says fetch it. And so she'll cross that barrier to go get it. She won't pick it up because that is dangerous. You wouldn't allow your dog to actually pick up your quadcopter. It has a freaking giant battery and that could leak and that could be very dangerous. But she'll be near it so that all I gotta do is walk to the dog, pick up the quad, and I just save myself 45 minutes. All right. So that's her role in this game. Like she serves as your spotter so that when you crash and you have the inconvenience of having to walk all the way over, you'll have the sprint button. Right now there's no sprint, but you have the sprint button. And you can just drive over there if you want, because that's what I do sometimes too. I hop her in the car. All right, come on, let's go. I drive over the car. I get it. I dust off the quadcopter. I drive back to the original spot. She gets out, runs around. I get to keep going. Same thing. You'll be able to do that. Right now, you can't drive this car. All right. But the whole point is that I'm building it out to replicate real life. All right. So that's going to be her purpose here. Where's she at? I don't have like a fetch command. And she only walks. She doesn't run yet. And it looks real like awkward. Like it doesn't look very realistic. So I'll tell her to sit in the future so you can like orbit around her and, see what she looks like and all. But for the most part, she's supposed to just immediately track you. All right, so now back to goggles mode and flying. So I put the goggles back on. The quad is where I left it. And now I have a 4S battery here. So it's not as fast. But most beginners aren't going to be able to control the 6S. So they're not going to be able to control this either. So next I'll be creating a tiny whoop. All right. And this actually feels better than the 6S because it's not so overpowered that the throttle is all, like gritty at the top. So this is actually better. I could probably make this the quad that you start off with. Yeah, this feels better. So if it feels good, I still say it feels better than anything else as far as freestyling, just, in here throwing a quad around and having fun with it. I have no idea how it feels for racing. I don't do racing. And the market that I'm building this for, they don't care about racing either. All right, so for the most part, this feels pretty good. And I'm going to keep working on the physics to keep bringing it closer. Because like I said, there are some things, the yaw axis needs to be smoother. And the power loops, I should have more grip as I climb. That's natural physics. And I should be able to punch it to full without any hiccups. So you saw how I had yaw wash out? The yaw kind of went as I throttled up. That's not realistic. And so that needs to be fixed too. See right there, same thing. So instead, what I'm being forced to do is be real careful as I throttle up, which, kills the joy. So now, oh, I can still power loop, but I gotta, ease the throttle up. See? But it's not the same thing. In real life, I don't do that. In real life, I get there, boom, I punch it to max, and I'm there. So now, going forward is better. So it could be a TPA or an anti-gravity issue. All right, so I'm going to look at that now because I do got that code in here. That was better. See, that should take off a lot faster than that. In real life, as soon as I hit throttle, I would have immediately been on top of the building there. And so those acceleration mechanics, I still have to work out. But it happens as I throttle up. So let me see. Oh, but it is a 4S too. I gotta remember that. All right, let's get down. Let's get back. Let's get back into the 6S. So you can only swap quads when the drone is in inventory. So first I gotta press E, then I can press F and swap out. All right, so the 6S battery is charged to 70%, but we know it's actually at 100% because there's that glitch there. All right, so now let's see how this one accelerates. Because I like flying 6S in real life. I graduated from 4S a few years ago. Jeez, freaking out. And so same thing. This is real life. My quad is stuck there, and no amount of twisting and turning is going to get it out. What will happen is I can burn through a motor, right? I can just and burn through the motor. What will happen is I could damage those props because they're hitting all those bushes and it's not going anywhere. So all I'm doing is damaging the props. What I can do is damage the flight controller, right? And so eventually I'm going to build that out too. So you can't just sit there and fly away. Like, bro, you destroyed the props. Now you got to land. Now you got to switch out your props and you got to put new props on. All right. You can also see that this is a little funky. Like, it's like you're like super duper short. Like, and I don't know what that's like this player controller here. So I gotta fix that, or I just gotta lower these bushes, but one of these is off. All right, so now I gotta come over here, actually pick it up and drag it out the way so I can get back to flying. And if I spawn here, when I respawn out of the quadcopter, this is where I'm gonna be again. So you kind of want to go back to your normal standing spot. We're gonna say it's over here. I'm gonna put sprint next update because this is pretty annoying. I gotta walk at 1 mile per hour when I could be sprinting. All right, so from here, I'll get back in the quadcopter and I can fly. So remember, we're building all of this out true to life. This is not a drone racing simulator. This is not get in here and fly forever. There is that mode. You're gonna have that mode, single player, go in, pick any quad, infinite battery, crash as many times as you want. That is a version that exists, but the game, the actual game, is going to be true to real life. So I got a bench that you're going to build your quadcopter on. You got to put the frame together. You got to put the standoffs. You got to put the flight controller on. You got to wire the motors, all of that. This is a FPV simulator. Yeah, not just physics, but like the whole experience that I think the RPG crowd that does not fly drones, that has never purchased DJI before, I believe they're going to be drawn to this game by the millions. Because I played RPGs before I ever knew about flying drones, and that would have drawn me in. Oh, damn, there's this whole learning curve. I got to start with a super slow quadcopter first, and then I got to get good with that, and then eventually I'll learn how to control this, and that's the experience I'm building out here. So in real life, most players are going to start here. See, this is the cinematic drone. Let's see if it's connected here. Well, it is connected. All right, so this is the cinematic drone. I'm gonna restart and see if that changes it. So most players are gonna start with the cinematic drone because they've never flown before. But anybody can fly a cinematic drone. Right? You can give that to a complete stranger that doesn't know anything about flying drones, and they can fly the cinematic drones because that's exactly what the technology is. So I'm gonna hit 2, and now let's see if my dang stick still don't work. All right, but they do work with the keyboard. It's super lame, but so the up arrow is forward, W key is the throttle that climbs, uh, A and D are yaw, right? So this is where most of the RPG crowd is going to start, right? They're going to start, they don't know anything about drones. This is a new video game. The environment looks amazing. They say it's an RPG. Let's see what it's about. This is where they're going to start, right? If they don't have an Xbox controller, they're going to be here with their keyboard, all right? And then from there, the game is going to be so good that you're going to be like, let me go buy an Xbox controller. Chances are they're going to already have one. But if they don't, that's going to be the natural progression. They're going to say, let me go buy an Xbox controller. And then they're going to say, oh man, this is so much better with the Xbox controller. And then from there, they're finally going to go out. Oh, let me unplug this one. They're going to go out and buy themselves the proper controller. All right, let's see if this works. Dang, this doesn't work either. What crap. So the cine mode doesn't work right now, so I'll get this working today. But this is where most everybody's gonna start. And so this is super duper duper beginner mode, right? Doesn't even turn like a real quadcopter. See how it's sliding to the left and right? This is what they do for like videos. Like you're recording a TV commercial and they want it to be super smooth. This is what they use, right? So naturally, this is where everybody's gonna gravitate to. Eventually, you're gonna be like, ah, wish it was a little more agile. And now there's this. This is like you take the training wheels off, right? Take the training wheels off. You still don't know how to freaking really ride the bike yet, but we've taken some training wheels off. No, 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 that's not what this is. So this we still have training wheels on. We still have training wheels on. All right. The cine mode, we're gonna say cine mode is a straight up tricycle. Straight up tricycle. All right. Always, 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 always balanced. And then this is going to be a bicycle with training wheels on it. So there's still a little bit of wobble you can get in there, but you really can't tip over, the freaking training wheels don't allow you to. So this is the training wheels. And they're gonna be like, oh, this is so much more fun. This is feel like, oh, it's so agile. Oh my goodness, yeah, this is so awesome. They can look at the drone as they fly. Oh, it looks so freaking cool, right? Same as in real life, how we got involved in this. Nobody just went straight to these full acro quadcopters, right? So this is where you get to eventually. Uh-oh. Oh, wait, I disconnected it. Now I gotta plug it back. And so the whole gameplay is built understanding that you don't know how to fly these things, right? And that's why we have the license system to teach you this. But getting to this point, the millions that I plan to have in this game, they're not going to be doing this immediately. Most players are going to take at least 30 days before they're at the point where they can control this with any kind of precision, with any kind of control. Like I can fly 10 minutes in here without crashing once. And it's going to take the average RPG player who currently doesn't know anything about drones, it's going to take that player several months before they're capable to come in here and fly these things. All right. And so that's the whole thing that I'm building out here. All right. The gameplay is revolving around the fact that you don't know anything about drones, but you're intrigued enough that you want to learn. And so that's what Myoka is. It is a school to teach you how to fly drones. And so we'll be starting in the cinematic drone with some licenses. So this is where the average player is going to start, right here. Let me learn how this acro hover works. Hold a stable acro hover for 30 seconds without drifting more than 2 meters. All right, perfect. And then we'll start the test. And so you're going to have 8 questions to teach you how to fly the cinematic drone. That's the drone that a random stranger will learn how to fly. Super easy because it's all GPS. You can't crash it. All right. But then you're going to have 8 exam questions for the tiny blue class. That's a really tiny drone that you can fly inside your house because it doesn't have a lot of power. All right. And then finally, we'll move on to the freestyle class. And that's what I'm currently flying in here. Right. And so with every section, you have, what's going on here? With every section, you have specific gigs that you can perform in the game that correspond to the level that you're at. So at first, you'll use the cinematic drone to perform gigs with the Cinedrone, right? So you'll be here. The gig is going to be, this is a real estate property. The real estate agent wants you to make a really nice, 30-second video for the website. And so that's your gig. Okay, you got the cinematic drone. You're going to go, you're going to do something like this, right? You're going to start off right here. You're going to climb up. And as you're climbing, you're going to point the camera downwards, right? And so that's your gig because that's the kind of drone that you're using, same as in real life. Okay, that's the shot that they want. And then they also want you to orbit and do this and do that and the other, and perfect. That is for the people who are currently in the cinematic drone class, right? Because my quadcopter, my freestyle quadcopter, doesn't have the capabilities to rotate the camera mid-flight. Oh, goodness. All right, so there it goes. Now I gotta find where the heck this thing is. I see a traffic light and I see that ugly maple tree. It's not coming in properly. Oh, I'm glitched out here. All right, I plugged in too many controllers and I'm glitched out, so that's something I'm gonna have to fix before we launch here. All right, but you're getting the gist of what I'm building here. And yeah, so this is my first person view. It is an RPG. You can load up and fly infinite, range and have no damage. That is a part of this too. But the real experience is bringing to you what we experience in real life. We're at the park, we got the dog, the car's parked, we got, 2 or 3 drones sitting out here. We got like 15 batteries. We got our charging cable. Everything's ready. We're gonna we're gonna be out here until we drain all of these batteries and we can't recharge them. And then we're gonna go home. And that's the experience that I'm building out here. All right, so this is available to download for free. It's gonna remain free. I'm gonna monetize it, but I want to drive millions of downloads. And I can't take a kid who played Final Fantasy and Zelda, who doesn't know anything about drones, and ask him to pay up front because there's already a humongous learning curve here. So I know that they're going to need to be in here for several months before they get to the real meat of the game. And so I'm eliminating that entry barrier. So it's free. And then I'll have a few quads that are already built out, already fly amazing, that you can purchase in the same way that I have a few spaceships in Star Citizen that I paid real money for, $100 for. Same concept. I'm just bringing it to drones here. All right, so this is my first person view. I'll leave this on the live channel so anybody come by can see it. I only got 67 viewers or followers on YouTube, but I'm going to start growing this channel. So this will be here and I'll be back, I don't know, sometime soon. All right, thanks. Bye-bye.